Just Another Stitch. For those that don't know me, my name is Connie, and if you're new to my channel, I'd like to welcome you. Well, I decided to have some fun, and I decided to come up with my own 10 question tag. So on my 10 questions, it's going to be 10 crochet and or knitting questions. And I'm going to put all 10 of my questions in the description box of this video. So my viewers, y'all can all answer these questions in the comments. I would really love to hear your answers on these questions. And I'm also going to be tagging some content creators at the end of the video. So my first question is, how long have you been crocheting and or knitting? Well, I started crocheting September of 2020, and knitting I started learning in May of 2019. And the second question is, how did you learn to crochet and or knit? I learned how to knit from YouTube. I learned from Expression Fibers Ort's channel, and she was really good, and I loved her tutorials. And for crochet, I had gotten one of those promotional subscriptions to Craftsy, and I did Selena Baca's lessons on there. And Selena Baca is awesome. She's very thorough. Because I know whenever I tried to learn how to crochet before, I just could not get it. And everything that I didn't understand, she thoroughly explained it. And my third question is, what made you want to learn to crochet and knit? Well, the first thing that started where I started getting an interest was I wanted to learn how to make a hat. And I wanted to be able to make cute hats, seasonal type hats. So that's what first made me show an interest. And initially I tried to learn how to crochet, and like I said, I didn't get anywhere with it. Then I did get a loom knit kit, which I had made one scarf off of it, and then it just kind of sat for a while. So one day I was at a church event, and I was wearing a shawl that I had gotten from either a yard sale or a thrift store. And everyone was asking me if I had made it. And, I'm like, no, I didn't make it. I wish. But that started to build that determination that I really want to learn how to make these things. And like with shawls, a lot of the reason why I like shawls is I tend to get cold easily. So, and shawls is something quick and easy that you can just carry with you, and it gives you added warmth. So, so once my determination build up, I started looking on YouTube to learn how to loom knit a beanie, and then I started learning how to loom knit shawls. And then that's where I started getting brave and decided to try knitting. And then, I learned how to knit. And then I finally got brave and decided to revisit crochet and finally learn. But that's how I grew interest in learning. And number 4, first thing that I ever crocheted or knitted. Well, it's a headband for both. But this is my very first knitted project, my headband. And actually, I did not do a good job sewing together the headband because it's starting to fall apart. But this was my very first project. And for crochet, it was this headband here. So those were my first projects. And let's see. What is the last thing that I crocheted or knitted? For that, it would be the Easter beanie, the Easter plaid beanie that I did in the waistcoat stitch. That would be the last thing that I finished that I crocheted. And by the way, that's the first pattern that I have designed, and it's actually on sale on Ravelry for $2 if anyone is interested. And then the last knitted project that I completed was my pink lemonade hat. And that hat is still in the testing phases. That's my second pattern that I've designed, which that once everything gets tested, I make the changes to the pattern that needs to be made, I will be uploading that for sale on Ravelry too. So be looking forward to that. And let's see, number 7. What is the last stitch that you learned how to crochet or knit? Where with crochet, the last stitch I learned was the waistcoat stitch. And when it comes to knitting, with this question, it may not really be specifically a stitch. It may be a technique or something new that you started crocheting. Started knitting. So on this, I would say socks, because I'm currently working on my first pair of socks. And other than that, I would say cables, because I love cables. But that's been a while since I learned cables. But that's another technique that I really enjoy learning. And then number 7, what are you currently crocheting and or knitting? And most of my viewers probably know this because I've been working on these projects for a while. I'm alternating between 3 projects during the week, where I have my temperature blanket, which is going to be a year-long project. Then I have an ocean sea turtle blanket that I'm working on. And for knitting, I'm knitting my first pair of socks. And number 8, what is something you want to learn how to crochet or knit? Where with crochet, I want to learn how to crochet a pair of socks. Oh, there's so much that I want to learn, especially with crochet. I also want to learn how to do a Afghan, which is going to be one of my goals for next year. That's what I can think of offhand for crochet. But like I said, I know there's a lot I want to do with crochet. For knitting, I would have to say I want to start learning how to do cables with socks. Which I don't think that will be really difficult to do. Oh, I forgot. With crochet, I want to learn how to do Tunisian crochet. That's another one that I want to learn. Which that's the only thing I can think of when it comes to knitting offhand. But I want to do some socks with some cables. And number 9, what has been your worst frogging experience with crochet and or knitting? I would have to say, whenever I was still pretty green at knitting, I was knitting a shawl. And I did not use the right yarn for the shawl. I used a heavier weighted yarn, and the shawl came out humongous. And then on top of that, I decided to I had ran out of yarn in the middle of a row, and I tried to add it on in the middle of the row, and I didn't, I did not do so properly, and it just like came undone and made this big hole in it. So I eventually, recycled the yarn and made a different pattern with that yarn. And my last question: what project that you crocheted, knitted, have you been the most proud of? And this would be a knitted project, and it is a shawl wrap, and it has the pretty hearts on it. And when I first saw this pattern, let me try to lift it up this way. When I first saw this pattern, there was only the written pattern. And at that point, I knew how to read most written patterns in knitting. But when it came to this pattern, I didn't understand it. And I was just like, oh, I wish there was a video tutorial. And it was one that was a Morley Bird pattern, and she tends to have a lot of tutorials. And then all of a sudden, finally, they made a tutorial, and I happened to notice it, because originally I was searching for a tutorial for it, and it wasn't there. And I was so, so happy. So then I go to finally make the shawl. And even with the video tutorial, I didn't understand how the pattern went. And I wasn't getting it. And, I'm trying. And I was kind of like, maybe I'm not ready. Or maybe I need to try to ask people questions in crochet groups online. Maybe they can help me. And then all of a sudden, the way the pattern flowed, it clicked. And then from there, I made the shawl. But this is one that I've been the most proud of. But that's my 10 questions. And like I said, I can't wait to hear y'all answers to these questions. And I am actually tagging 10 channels for this tag. The first channel I'm tagging is Melanie from Hook to the Left. And then second is Jeannie with Butterfly Dreams Crochet with Jeannie. And the third channel is my YouTube bestie, Crystal, with Crystal the Yarny Chicken and Crazy Cat Lady. Then I'm tagging Barbara with Crochet Therapy, Jill with Fiber Floozy Crafts, Leanne with Crocheting with Leanne, then David Browning, and his channel is David Browning. Then this channel is one of my viewers that just started a channel, and I'm probably gonna say your name wrong, but it's Julie Chaffee Maza, and her channel name is her name. And all these channels, I'm gonna put the links in the description box below, and I highly recommend that y'all check these channels out. They're all awesome content creators. So the next channel is Granny D with Knit Pearl and Squirrel with Granny D. And finally, this one is another one of my viewers that has a small channel. Is Amarina with Amarina's Crochet and Tell. So those are the ones that I'm tagging, and like I said, I will put the links in the description box below for all 10 of these channels. And yeah, go check them out, show them your love. They're all awesome. And I hope y'all like my questions, and I hope everyone is having a fabulous yawny day. Be the light, and bye.